people coexist, they need policies in place to govern them. The institutions that enact those policies are governments, and by carrying out those policies, a government fulfills 6 basic and essential needs of the people. One of those needs is the protection of citizens from foreign threats. For this purpose, governments organize armies, develop weapons, and strategic alliances. A second purpose of government is to maintain order amongst the people by creating and enforcing laws, preventing crime, and responding to emergencies. A third government function is to regulate the nation's economy to make it more prosperous. To influence the economy, the U.S. government can lower taxes to promote spending, put tariffs on imports to promote domestic buying, and the Federal Reserve, a government agency, can raise or lower interest rates, implement monetary policy, and ensure that banks deal fairly with consumers. A government also needs to provide public goods and services such as schools, highways, libraries, federal education loans, and welfare. Another purpose of government is socializing the youth of the nation so they understand, accept, and perpetuate the government. Though some people argue this is brainwashing, for a government to work, its constituents must know how it works before they can participate in it.
Once the public interest has ceased to be the principal concern of citizens, once they prefer to serve state with money rather than with their persons, the state will be approaching ruin. Jean-Jacques Rousseau, The Social Contract, 1763.
A sixth purpose of government is levying taxes, which go toward funding programs and public policies. Federal and state treasuries operate the tax system for the government. For a nation-state to exist, it must have 4 characteristics: a geographic territory, a population, sovereignty, and a legitimate government. But a group of people can have a government and lack an independent territory, such as the Palestinian people in the Gaza Strip. To be sovereign, a nation-state must have the authority to govern its territory and population without interference from other nations. For instance, the American colonies had governments, but did not have sovereignty. To have a legitimate government, the nation-state's population and other nations must recognize its authority. There are 5 different types of governments found throughout history. One is a dictatorship, which exists when one person takes control of the government and the general population has little or no political participation. One of the most infamous examples of a dictator is Adolf Hitler. Oligarchies are similar to dictatorships. There is still a dictator, but an exclusive group of people is also allowed to hold some power. An example of an oligarchy is the government Saddam Hussein and the Ba'ath Party operated in Iraq. A monarchy is another form of government with one person in control. The monarch's control is claimed from divine rights and is passed from one generation to the next in the royal class or family. As in a dictatorship, the people ruled by a monarch are at the mercy of their leader's will. Before the signing of the Magna Carta, England was a monarchy. In a representative monarchy, the monarch is more of a figurehead. The people have political and civil rights and can participate in parliamentary government. Today, this form of government exists in countries such as Denmark, Great Britain, Spain, and Japan. The democracy is a type of government that derives its power from the people it governs. There are 2 main kinds of democracies. One is the pure or direct democracy, in which the people being governed actually vote directly on decisions made by the government. In the representative or indirect democracy, large groups of the people elect one person to represent their interests in the government, but the people retain power via initiatives, referendums, and recalls. Our state governments are examples of a representative democracy. The federal government, however, is a republic because the power rests with elected officials rather than with the people.